Ken shares this. Ken over Long Beach, he shared this on our Reddit subsection. This is kind of interesting, and we're going to go through this here. This is concerning cars. Car company's surprising deal with California on environmental rules explained. All right, so what's going on here? 4 companies work with California to set tougher standards for themselves. Interesting. And there's a picture of the lovely LA traffic. I spend a lot of time on these roads, folks. A lot of time. The usual script of industry resisting environmental relations flipped last week in California. Major auto industry players reached a surprise deal with state officials to enact tougher fuel economy rules, circumventing the federal EPA that is working to weaken them. First reported by the Washington Post, the California Air Resources Board, alongside Ford Motor Company, Volkswagen AG, Honda Motor Company, and BMW, agreed to increase fuel economy of their fleets 3.7% year over year. All right, so this is a huge deal for the U.S. auto sector. And the agreement has major implications for the environment. U.S. greenhouse gas emissions are growing, and transportation is now the largest source of carbon dioxide. Light-duty vehicle comprise 20% of all U.S. emissions. All right. So here's the question. Why did the major car companies deliberately go out of their way to negotiate more stringent rules for themselves when the Trump administration was going easier on them? Which that's always a question we got to ask here in the U.S., here in the corporatocracy that is the U.S. Why would a corporation do something that actually helps anything except for their bottom line? Why would they do that? Certainly not out of the goodness of their heart, and I'm sure it's not out of the goodness of their heart. Well, let's find out why. Why are they doing this? The answer ties together the strange forces behind the U.S. auto industry right now, from the Trump administration's trade war with China and Mexico to growing concerns about climate change to the rise of electric vehicles. Car companies are desperate for stability, and the fact that the 4 automakers would take the initiative to reach an accord with California shows they are preparing for a world without Trump. Interesting. California has had an exemption under the Federal Clean Air Act since 1968 to set its own rules for vehicle emissions, and they're often stricter than those set by the EPA. So here's the positive takeaway here. The positive takeaway here is that what this is all short for, the industry is recognizing that we're moving towards more environmental sustainability, so they're accepting it and they're getting on board with it. This is a good thing. They're just doing it for their own bottom line. They're just doing it because it's an inevitability, but they're recognizing, hey, environmental sustainability is happening. It's going to happen once Trump's out of office, so we might as well start adapting our products now. That's a good thing. That's a positive trend in our country. Are these 4 companies going to lead the way? No. Are they still going to go down with the ship when it comes to our dependency on fossil fuels? Yes, that's all true. I'm not trying to give them a pass here or some big pat on the back or say that they're leading our environmental efforts. They're not. But it is good when you see companies like this recognize the inevitability that we're moving towards a more environmentally sustainable future, because we're either going to do that or we ain't going to be here all that much longer. So that's a good thing. That's a positive to take away from this. Do these companies deserve some big pat on the back? No, they're still looking out for the bottom line above all else. But they are recognizing that they need to adapt and build more electric vehicles, or they're going to go the way of the buffalo. So that's a good thing. We can take a positive away from that. All right. Thank you, Ken, for sharing that article.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and